Thanks for joining us on Coast to Coast Pest Talk.
I'm not as good as Cully. And Foster's the one who does the back end stuff.
Foster's
I'm not as good as Foster.
He's techie. Yes.
I got to take lessons.
Okay, let's do this. Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning in to Coast Pest Talk. I'm your host, Gabe with Pest Patrol, joined here by Andy Snefsky with Primatech Pest Management, who is also your host. And we're joined today by Dan the Bugman, also known as Dan Latini.
There you go.
All right.
Good work.
And we're going to have a fun conversation today. We're going to be talking about his kind of launching this new business he's launched and jumping into some kind of generational stuff within the industry. And I think it'll be a fun chat.
Yeah, for sure. How have you been doing, Gabe?
Pretty good.
Yeah? Nothing going on?
Yeah. No, just
okay.
Terrible.
Now, what people don't know is behind the scenes. I just got the skinny on Gabe. He comes in, he's having the worst day ever. Just everything's going to garbage, but he's here for us anyway. So I just wanted to put him right on the spot there. Don't divulge anything, but
and we'll do a podcast episode about it probably in a couple of weeks. I'm sure.
A couple of weeks. You're like, so is that a tease for future episodes?
Yeah, that's right. People better stay tuned. Only if we pass 100 members in our group, though, in our LinkedIn group, which is Coast to Coast Pest Talk on LinkedIn, and you should definitely join that. And if we do, actually, we're probably over 100 anyways, but just, if we do, then maybe we'll do a special episode about this nitty gritty gossip.
Nice.
Over pest. All right, let's bring in Dan. Golly.
Let's bring in Dan. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much for having me. I love the intro. This is going to be so much fun. This is great.
Awesome. Are things going better for you than they are for Gabe?
I think possibly. Yeah. I got no complaints over here.
Okay. Now your interest is piqued. You're like, what's going on with Gabe?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm like,
we'll chat after the show.
What's going with you?
It's going fantastic. It's Andy, I believe you're in New York, so the spring is almost here. So finally starting to see some pests emerging and getting some calls, which is exciting as the newest guy in the group.
Yeah, for sure. And do you do a lot of residential? Are you getting a lot of residential calls or?
Yeah, so you know what? Most of my business is through word of mouth right now. I do a lot of self-networking through the chambers of commerce that are around me locally. So most of it is residential for right now, but I'm expecting probably like a 70-30 mix of residential and commercial.
Oh, cool. So. And Gabe, you guys have met before, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we're old pals.
Oh yeah. We joked about getting me on here back when I was first talking with you about advice, basically. So, which again, thank you so much for all your time. I appreciate it, Gabe.
Oh yeah, happy to help. We Dan actually has been helpful. I reached out to him about some how to set up a commercial salesperson because Dan's got a bunch of experience doing sales. So.
Oh, cool.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the best things about our industry is that, at the end of the day, even locally, at the end of the day, we're all trying to do a business. We're all competitors, but, we're all still friends. We all get together at these, in New Jersey, we got the clam bakes or, local conventions. And, when we get together, it's all, about sharing knowledge, sharing experience and telling some really cool stories, not necessarily, cutthroat. So I think that's one of the great things. Did
you grow up in New Jersey?
For most of my life, yeah. I lived out in Pennsylvania for a little bit off and on. But yeah, basically I've been all throughout Jersey most of my life. Yeah. So I'm 35, probably about 20 plus years in Jersey alone.
Okay. It's funny because you sound like the downstate folks, but not New York City. Like I can hear New Jersey in your accent a little bit.
Yeah. My wife is from northern New Jersey and she has a little bit of that New York and for some odd reason, she also has a Boston twang, which makes zero sense, but it's just a thing where she's from in North Jersey. But yeah, it's interesting, how one state can have different accents and colloquialisms. Yeah. So honestly, when I first got into the industry, it was actually because of COVID. Before COVID, I had a pretty good job with other companies doing office management, emergency roadside type stuff. And right before COVID, my wife got into some pretty serious health issues, and had to take a step back professionally. When I was ready to get back to work after she, kind of figured some things out, she actually had to relearn how to walk at one point.
Yeah.
And once I was ready to get back to work, we were figuring things out with the family. I was like, all right, it's okay for me to, leave the nest essentially. That's when COVID hit and no one was hiring anymore. Pest control was essential work. And I was like, all right, well, you guys are hiring. I need to put food on the table somehow. Let's get at it. When I first got into pest control, one of the very first things that was highlighted was IPM. And any good IPM, it's more so about the mechanical measures rather than the chemical applications. So, I know that not necessarily every pest control company will necessarily attack, ways of fixing a building that may have repairs or entry points, things like that. So I try to do a full encompassing thing. So I'll clean gutters, I'll do power wash, I can do a little bit of landscaping, I'll do some structural repairs as I can. So whatever I can do to, help the client fully, basically.
Yeah, so you started out with that on that side of things, like home repairs and gutters and this and that, and then added pest control later on?
Yeah, no. So I've always been kind of a handsy. Dan of all trades is how I kind of market myself.
I don't know if it's called handsy, Dan.
All right, we'll edit that part out.
We have in New York State we have a mandatory sexual harassment training and then complaint form. So
this podcast just got flagged.
Gabe, do you need to file one of those? I have to investigate it if you do. So okay. So no, Dan is also handsy. Let's keep going. Sorry.
But no, yeah, I'm absolutely fell in love with it. The first time that my son and my daughter were at the door. At the time, they were only 3 and 6 at the time, I think, or 2 and 6. Yeah. Either way, they were at the door. Daddy, what did you see? And they were asking me all these stories about the places I went to, the things that I saw, and they started looking at me like a superhero because Daddy protects people from all the what ifs of the bugs world. And I mean, Gabe, I know you're a father. Andy, do you have kids?
Yeah.
So as soon as your kids look at you like you're a superhero, I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to milk that as long as I possibly can.
For sure. It's funny you say that because I had an experience about 2 years ago. I was in a sparring in karate, beating up children, fighting with teenagers, that kind of thing. And I tore my Achilles, and I come home with a torn Achilles, and I'm like limping. And first thing that happens is my youngest comes out, and she's like, "Kung Fu Panda down!" And she's like runs, and she's getting me ice and stuff and whatever. But my daughter, she was like crying, and for like 2 or 3 days, she was like really down. And I talked to her about her, and I was like, "What's going on?" She's like, "I didn't think you could get hurt," and like. To see her dad come back to the house and be like injured was like shocking. Like we're impenetrable to the kids. Like in their mind, we are literally superheroes. I'm like I'm a person. Just there's kryptonite, man. I go down.
Especially as we're getting older.
And sometimes the kryptonite is a child at the karate place.
That's right. It's a teenager. It's those 14-year-olds kicking you. Yeah, man.
Getting kicked in the Achilles.
So, Dan, how old are you?
I'm going to be 36 in August.
Okay.
Yeah, so at this point, I got almost 5 years experience in the industry. I've worked for 2 of the top 3, as they're called in industry.
Okay.
So I've gotten experience as a technician, how I first started, but I brought a lot of management experience to the table. And fortunately, it wasn't really room for growth in my my first outing. So I transitioned to another company, which Gabe, I got really heavy into sales, got really successful at it, learned how to market myself. I got my realtor's license also before I started doing my own LLC. So I kind of learned, just about networking and how to sell myself essentially. And, kind of just combined both worlds of the technical aspect of it and the sales aspect of it. And no turning back now. I'm having a blast.
Okay. And I was looking at the website. You were doing home services and then added on pest control.
Yeah. So when I first started, I didn't actually have my licenses yet. I was always working on an operator's license. So when I was in the transition phase, honestly, I wasn't actually ready to go out onto my own until this time. I was still planning on working for my previous company. They kind of caught wind that I had bigger plans and cut the ties several months before I was ready. So I started advertising handyman services, a Dan of all trades, essentially. And I was kind of using that to kind of get by until I got my licenses. So now I got my core, I got my 7A, my 8B. I should have my 7B in the mail, hopefully within the next week or so, because I'm trying not to miss any termite calls. So Yeah, it's been a rat race the last couple months.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you go into Pennsylvania too? You get into Philadelphia?
Not Pennsylvania yet.
Oh, okay.
I do have a lot of people that I know out there, so that is the goal eventually. But right now I'm a lone wolf trying to
There you go.
get by. I got a pretty good following already through my works on social media, especially LinkedIn. That was huge to me. And then really last year, I kind of blew up in my county here in Ocean County, where everybody knows me as Dan the Bugman. I quickly got into a couple different boards with my local chambers of commerce and nonprofits. So everybody knows me. I'm literally running into a situation now where I'm going to these networking events and people I've never met before. Hey, are you Dan the Bugman? And to me, it's like, all right, this is working. I think I got something special here.
Wow, that's awesome. And no employees, just you.
Just me.
Wow.
Me and the kids.
You and the kids. I
My
saw
little baby marketers.
the one trainee with the new B&G, with the short wand B&G.
Yes.
I was thinking after I saw that video, like, he's done with training now, right? Like, he can go out in the field. He knows what he needs to know.
It's as much training as I got previously.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Pump it, spray it.
Point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's great.
Have you had any coaches or consultants? Have you done that sort of thing, or not formally?
No, not formally. It is interesting though, because people are actually asking me to consult them with marketing and social media. So while I'm growing everything pest control wise, I'm still hustling, growing the business. So I even have a couple clients that actually pay me to do their SEO management, their website, and their LinkedIn marketing, which is interesting.
That's awesome. Yeah, man. Okay, we're gonna have to do it on a separate one, Gabe, because I had the worst consultant experience of my life yesterday.
That's what that post.
That's what that post was about.
Like,
oh
Andy,
my God,
what the heck? That was kind of random.
It was. No, it was. I almost 2 hours in, I almost got up and kicked the dude out. I almost was like, okay, and Dan, you don't know me. I'm pretty laid back. I'm pretty like, it is hard. And I almost was like, okay, we're done. You need to leave. But Holly,
if you ever do that, just say, Holly, start recording, and then send me the video of you kicking somebody out, because that just sounds fantastic.
Oh my God. And it's funny because I think you two will get this. Like, it's a mismatch of what my values and ideals are. Like, people assume, and I'm sure you guys get this, people assume that your goal is to grow as fast as possible and make as much money as you possibly can for yourself. And so when a consultant comes in and is saying, well, don't you want to do this? And don't you want to do that? And I'm like, no, I don't want to do any of that. Are you kidding me? No, I'm not interested in any of that. Are you listening to anything I'm saying? And it was quite a thing. It was like,
wow. Okay. Cow. Next week's episode.
Next week. There you go. Oh my God.
When I first started the business, I also got trained as a realtor, and I got my realtor's license, and I learned how they kind of sell themselves and how they market themselves. So I kind of take a little bit of that. When I was first working in that industry, did not work in it for long. I sold 2 houses and quickly realized that I'm putting in way too many hours for way too little in return. But learning how they market themselves via social media and the informative videos really just kind of gave me inspiration, a little bit of hindsight to how I can do it. And then in my last role with my previous company, learning sales, and it being on me as a commercial account salesman, it was on me to make as many sales as possible. I said, all right, I'm going to do this differently. I don't want to be the used car salesman like I was kind of being trained to be. I want to be me. And then honestly, Gabe, I've told you this before, I got connected with you very, very early on. I think I had less than 100 followers when I first found you. And I just kind of, watched you grow your business and everything you did. And, a little bit, kind of, I try to emulate myself, but, I think at the end of the day, it's just about being yourself, being genuine, and conveying to people that, you're not necessarily, doing this to, make money. You're doing it because you love it.
And actually, in looking at, speaking of loving it, in looking through your website or whatever, there was a bunch of words that stuck out to me in that you used a couple times. Superhero was one of the ones that came out on there. Passion's probably on there 22 times.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's a lot of like emotionally charged language that you used on that website. Is that you're just laying it out there. You're passionate about these things, and you're just putting that into everything.
Yeah, exactly. Before I started, thinking about doing my own business, I was always working for someone else's agenda and, trying to meet someone else's goals. I wasn't necessarily ever kind of free to be myself. But now that I am, it's incredibly freeing. I'm involving my kids in what I do. I love making the videos with them. I'm teaching them science along the way. So not only is it something that it's fun to do together, but they're learning about the world, which is something I wish I, learned earlier. But yeah, no, it's when I first got into the industry, my kids quickly looked at me coming home in my technician's truck, and they'd always ask me standing at the door, Daddy, what'd you see today? What'd you do? Where'd you go? And they quickly started, think of me as a superhero because Daddy was protecting people from the bugs of the world. And as a father, like I said, I'm going to milk that for as long as I possibly can. As long as they think I'm cool, I'm here for it.
How old are they?
So my daughter Ava, she's 9, and my son Colton, he's 6.
That's a great age. You
Yeah.
are a superhero in their eyes right now.
Absolutely.
Sure.
No, I actually just got them their own bee suits. I don't know if you saw my website, but
Yes.
they love stinging insects. So I have taken them out on jobs with me. They didn't have their own suits before, so I'd keep them in the truck while they watch me do it. But I would always show them the videos, and I've brought them home some pretty cool, sizable European hornet nests, and let them put on my bee veil and take a picture with it. So they're all in. They think it's amazing. My son, he's only 6, but I live in the middle of the woods. We're always going for hikes, and hey, Daddy, what's this? Hey, what's that? And it's not just insects; it's about flowering plants, anything and everything. Yeah. So it sparked his interest, which is great.
Have you found that kind of jumping into that or leaning into that? Like I remember when I started being hesitant I didn't want to lean into the family owned thing because I wanted my company to look professional, and then, I mean, I think it was probably a couple years in where it struck me, why am I not leaning into this? This is like, first off, it's true. It's who I actually am. And like, I'm not big corporate. Have you found like good success in kind of doubling down on that family local?
Yeah. No, absolutely. And, there's a lot of companies that say they're family owned and operated, but that's really just a tagline, and they're owned by some other corporate subsidiary, and they just kept it for good looks. But yeah, no, I love having my family completely out there because this is a family thing that we're doing. I've read in your posts in the past, Gabe, that you refuse to ever sell out, talk to my great grandchildren. I want to leave them with something special. Even my son, his middle name is Daniel. So if he wants to take over Dan Can Home Services, he still can. It still fits. He might just have to call his son Dan Jr. Who knows? But I am. My family's my everything, and I can't imagine them not being on the forefront of everything that I do. So yeah, no, I lean into it wholeheartedly.
So it sounds like you're setting things up for a like 2050 or 2070 PMP Hall of Fame entry, Dan Can Home Services, and it's going to be like Dan Jr. Jr.
Hey,
yes,
that'd be fantastic. Absolutely.
There you go.
Dan the 10th.
That's fantastic.
Oh my goodness. It's funny. We haven't gone that route as much. So we're family owned, obviously. Wife and I started this,
right?
But our market is so specifically commercial. It hasn't really seemed to be an advantage to come and say, hey, we're family owned. A lot of our focus is on showing stability and capabilities and reliability. Not that you guys aren't reliable, but like if you're selling to a generally residential market, the things that are buying queues for them might actually be a turnoff for a giant distribution warehouse. They're like, I don't know if I want, family owned. I want to know that there's going to be, when I call and I have a problem, somebody's going to be able to be there because they have redundancy in technicians and whatnot. So we kind of are, when you guys are talking about the family stuff, I kind of am sad. I'm like, oh, I can't play in that sandbox with you guys.
I can definitely understand that though, because every client is looking for something different. If there's one thing I've learned from my experience in sales is that clients are never buying what you have to offer them. They're buying you. And they're trusting in you and they're hoping that you are going to be their advocate in whatever service you are providing. So that's kind of what I always keep in mind. So, yes, I might be a small single owner operator, family owned business trying to figure this all out, but I know my stuff. And if anybody ever needs prover of my stuff, check out my LinkedIn. And I use that constantly as a prover. Like, hey, I know we just met. I'd love to do business with you. Check me out on social media. You'll learn all about me. And it works.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Now, I'm surprised a lot these days as I see the social media and especially on YouTube and LinkedIn and whatnot from younger and younger operators that are really well informed. Like I'll go through and watch both your guys' stuff and I'll be like, I'm going to find something that they did wrong, and sometimes there might be a little nitpicky, whatever, but really it's solid quality information that I don't think when I started this in 97, you had somebody who was 30 years old in the industry for 2 years. They're not able to generate the content that you guys generate right now with the same kind of quality and level of accuracy. And I think a lot of it is the younger generation now knows how to get information better and faster. Whereas my generation, Gen X and older, I think we lag behind a little on that. We like, oh, geez, I don't really know and whatever. But you have people that'll go right from watching YouTube to learn something to making their own YouTube video about it. And you guys are right there. You pick stuff up fast and turn it right around into new content.
Yeah, no, I definitely see that. I think for me, when I first started making videos, I was worried about some of the people who have a lot more experience than myself, like you, Andy, or entomologists, whatever it may be. And I was worried about, posting misinformation or, having inaccuracies and them calling me out on it. But after a year and a half of doing it, not a single person has. But I wish they would if they found anything, because it's honestly only going to help me learn and grow. Yeah. And I think that's one of the cool things about making the content is you're always trying to figure out, okay, what the heck am I going to post today? So sometimes you're just looking up things. Like one of the things I do every day is I look up the national day calendar. And if there's something that I can correlate with pests, I'm making a post about it, or I'm doing a deep dive like, I wonder how I can connect this. And then I learn something new for the day. So it's cool.
Yeah, for sure. And it still seems like there's a lot of green fields in this arena. Like it seems like there's a lot of opportunities still that people aren't really, it's not like it's a crowded space at this point. Pest control, social media, or YouTube videos, or TikTok, or whatever. It seems like it's still wide open. People are underutilizing this almost universally.
Especially in our industry, I think, particularly. Seems
like not everywhere, but pest control specifically, it's like really like kind of, you got a free-for-all in there.
Yep. The largest contract that I have sold in my career, and apparently the largest in South Jersey with my previous company, came to me via LinkedIn. It was somebody that I never even reached out to before. They found me on LinkedIn. They wanted to know more about myself and the company I represented, and that ended up being an almost $100,000 recurring contract, which was a beautiful thing. Wow. So if I can get a couple of those under Dan Can, that would be a great day.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, for sure. So what's the future here for you? Are you planning to hire people? Are you going to be the best single owner operator in the world, or what are you looking for?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely going to have to hire people, probably even within this season, because I'm even looking at my calendar for the next couple of weeks, and man, it is full, which is a very good problem to have. But also I'm realistic, and I can't necessarily continue to grow if I am working the job and not running the job. Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, and that's a big hurdle. I feel like the going from one person to two people is like one of the hardest jumps to make.
Yeah. Yep. I think the biggest thing that I'm actually worried about is finding the right person. And I say that as someone who has done countless inspections from competitors and even my own company that I represented, and finding so many things that shouldn't be happening. So now I worry, like, man, if I hire someone, can I trust them? Are they going to do what I expect? Am I going to have time to follow up on them when, previous managers maybe didn't have time to follow up on their employees? Like, it's stressful.
Yeah. You don't want to make the same mistakes you've seen made.
Exactly.
So Gabe, how did you jump across that threshold? Did you just dove right across quick?
Yeah, I just and I've done it. So I think that one was certainly too early in terms of that. I wasn't really at a place where I wasn't like hemorrhaging and needed that, but I just knew the importance of getting some scale as fast as I could. And then when I hired Donna, my office manager, same thing. It's like last year, we really weren't quite where we needed to. But like this year now, she's a year in, she's fully trained. And this year, we're like exploding in 2023 or 2024. And now we have an office, so it's hard. It's a hard balance. But that's the risk of, that's why you start a business, you jump into that type of stuff. Or I guess that's why you start a business, if you want to grow it and have a little bit of scale.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely not for the faint of heart, but I strongly believe that everybody should try it at least once in their life, no matter what their passion is.
It's like they say everyone should work in food service once. So that then you know what when you go out to eat, you're treating that server differently.
So that's actually where I got my start in my career. I worked in the restaurant industry for almost 16 years, mostly as management. So it definitely taught me a lot. Went from that to a crime scene cleanup company. That taught me a lot of construction stuff. And then I went from that to dealing with emergency roadside calls, getting thousands of calls a day, leading large teams. So I definitely have a lot of experience. It's kind of like helped me, navigate problems and figure out, things on the fly and lead large teams. So, while I'm a new business owner, I don't necessarily feel new. Definitely a lot of back end stuff. Like taxes, I was never privy to, all that fun logistics. But I feel like everything else, I really had a lot of preparation for what I'm doing.
Yeah. For me, that first person, there was like an emotional journey to go from I'm going out to every single account and every single job and making sure it's done right. And then you like train this little bird and then you just throw it out of the nest and you're like, okay, you're going to these jobs by yourself. Have you considered that that moment?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm excited and scared of it.
Yeah, you started sweating. It's like, oh God.
Well, only because again, me as a sales guy, I'm promising the best service around. Yeah. So if then I go behind and I check on that baby bird who's now leaving the nest, and things aren't necessarily what I promised, or the client calls me out on something, then reputation is everything in the industry. Yeah. So yeah. But at the end of the day, I got faith that, as long as I, lead with good morals and, take care of my people, they'll take care of me.
Do you have a vision for where you'd like the company to be? Are you wanting to have you and a couple guys? What's kind of that? Do you want to be taking all the phone calls, or do you just want to do sales? What's that look like?
No. So when I was just in a sales position, I missed being a technician. So I want to be a hands-on operator. I don't necessarily want to be, stuck in the office all day, taking those calls. So no, eventually I would love to have someone kind of do the office management. My wife is going to be taking my my calls and doing some scheduling for me. So just working on the logistics of getting a office set up, so to say, and all the computer stuff. I know bugs better than I know computers. So that's been a fun journey. It's so nice when all the all the systems are already in play and they said, hey, here's your tablet, here's your computer, everything's already set up, and if you have any problems, call IT. Now I'm IT and I'm figuring everything out. But no, eventually, I definitely see myself having 4 or 5 guys. If I can get that in the next 2-3 years, I'd be pretty happy with that. I'm not necessarily sure I even want to have a large fleet or multiple offices. I think I'd rather, make sure that it's always sizable in the essence that I can make sure that we're providing the best service always. So, because, again, I want to take care of my clients. My clients are my neighbors and my friends. So I want to take care of them like my family.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I know as I've gone along, I'll have moments recurring every year or two where I'll in a day just stop and go, oh my gosh, I can't believe we got here. Like, this is amazing. This is crazy. And it's at all different stages. When we got to like 2 employees, I'm like, we have 2 employees. There's 2 guys out there like doing work, and I'm like doing other things, answering the phone. And then we got to, 5, 6, 7 or whatever. And like, I think that journey all along the way, it has so much value to your life. Like, don't rush it too much. Just enjoy that whole thing. There's days where I go, oh my God, remember I was just like a one-man operation and I could just have my route for the whole day, and I go out and I know every single customer and I know them by name, and hi, Mrs. Smith, how you doing? And this and that, and bringing the newspaper up to them from the driveway or whatever. You miss those things when it's just like kids growing up. You're like, oh, remember when they were 2 and they were so cute, but then they're 9 and you're like, oh, you're kind of a jerk now sometimes, but that's a great time too, though. And yeah. So.
Yeah. My daughter recently asked me if it was scary going out on my own and doing everything, because her and I talk, she's 9, she's a very intuitive young girl. And so when she asked me that, I was honest with her. I said, absolutely, it is terrifying.
Yeah.
But I told her, I said, I always tell you and your brother that I want you to make mistakes because you'll always learn from those mistakes. So I said, while I am terrified, I know I'm going to have some failures. I know I'm going to learn a lot, but it's only going to help us grow, and it's going to help you and your brother in the future. So let's do this together. I tell my wife all the time, if she wasn't here doing what she does, I could not do anything. So I am internally grateful for my family. They're everything. I'm curious. A question for you, gentlemen. So, me as a brand new operator, Gabe, we've kind of had a conversation like this before. But if you guys were to kind of go back and do it all again, what is maybe one thing, if there is one thing that sticks out in your mind, that you would maybe try and do differently?
You got something on tap, Gabe? Because I can go first if you want to think.
Oh, you go for it. I'm thinking.
I think I would be less cautious than I was. I think that I think we had a very slow ramp up period because I was absolutely terrified that we would overmarket and outstrip our capacity. And I would be in these situations where I wouldn't have enough manpower to do the work that was coming in. So with that, I've for a long, long time artificially constrained our growth and like a boa constrictor, just held on to that and be like, okay, do not grow too fast. We have this many guys, we can do this many jobs and like comfortably handle all this. And that's probably one spot where I probably could have moved faster into like training people faster and adding them a little quicker and do a little bit more sales. Now, we weren't hurt by it other than we are probably smaller than we would be right now otherwise. Like we would have been able to ramp up more, but you live and learn. And at this point, we hired our first full-time salesperson the end of last year because I've become emotionally comfortable with growth more. And they're like, okay, we can do this. We know what we're doing. The wheels aren't going to come off the go-kart pushing it down a hill like this. We're going to be okay. And that's probably the biggest thing I would have been more bold earlier. How about you, Gabe?
Man, it's so tough. I've made so many mistakes in the last 4 years. I'll email you a list of 100 of them, Dan. No.
I did see your post where you outlined some of your costliest mistakes and what you learned from those. So that was good insight.
Yeah. I would say, I think it's funny because Andy and I have like opposite propensities in this regard. So like Andy has, just for fun, he writes employee manuals. And like once his employee manuals are written, he like writes more of them, and he has backup in
protocols and graphs and charts, and
he's writing employee manuals for landscape companies that don't exist.
No, just for fun on the weekends.
But that's just totally his propensity and like totally opposite of mine. So I have been building out standard operating procedures and employee manuals as I've gone along. And that has gotten me into issues, especially as you start hiring people, having those really clear-cut rules and expectations and stuff in writing is so good. And I don't know what your propensity is, Dan, and maybe you already have all that made up. For me, I was like having more things set in stone before I jumped in. Maybe the kind of the opposite of what Andy. My propensity is shoot first, aim second, and so I have a lot of fun that way, but I get into a lot of trouble.
Nice. I can definitely see value to both. I will say, Andy, you actually have perfect timing in what you're saying there, because literally just this morning, I signed off on doing a radio ad with one of the local classic, well, not classic stations, but modern hits. So it's one of the top stations in my county. And I'm going to be doing a radio spot where they're going to give me a minute-long commercial during their 8 a.m. to 9 o'clock drive hour on their morning talk show. And then during their lunchtime show also, I'm going to be going in there and doing a bunch of different commercials where they're going to produce and everything. So I'm jumping in wholeheartedly. And that is exciting and scary because it is a monetary expense that I wasn't necessarily planning this early on, but I know that I need to, trust in what I have. So yeah, that is exciting and scary. And then Gabe, to your point, I'm trying my hardest to be ready with all those forms as much as possible. But if I'm being honest, I just got my first mosquito customer last week. And as a new business owner, right before I was going to the meeting, I was on Word trying to do a contract really quick.
Yep. That's right.
Oh my goodness. So are you hiring right now?
I'm not hiring right now, but I'm already thinking I want my first employee to be, someone who really knows termites. I have experience in termites, but not enough where I feel confident to know all the answers when it comes to something as structurally destroying as a termite. So I someone with a lot more experience than myself, who really knows all the ins and outs that I can trust. So I think that's going to be my first hire.
Yeah, it just seems like, boy, you invest in advertising like that, and then you're gonna get calls rolling in.
Yeah.
I'm hoping. It's gonna be a lot of fun, but it's gonna be worth it. And I have a lot of friends that have experience in the pest industry, and I'm kind of talking to people already. So I'm preparing myself as much as I possibly can. But as any business owner, new or old, knows, there's never enough preparation.
For sure.
That's right.
Now, I know we're not supposed to say any of this, but this is Coast to Coast Pest Talk. We say stuff we're not supposed to say. Okay. Have you had the moment where you're in your truck and you go, why on earth did I do this? Why did I start a company?
I've had that moment twice already. And so as a brand new owner, I bought my very first truck. It was not a new truck. It was a used truck. It was a previous pest control company truck, a very big one that I'm sure you would recognize, Andy. And not yours. But a month after buying it, I'm getting ready to put decals on it. And I got my core and I got my 7A, and then the engine died. $15,000 later because it wasn't covered under the warranty. I got my truck back and it broke down again after 3 weeks, where the cooling system failed. Thankfully, that was covered under warranty. But both times I was like, what's going on here? But again, I just, I really believe I got something special going on right now. So I'm all in on faith right now.
For sure. Now, on the flip side, how many of the days have you had where you get up in the morning and you go, I can't believe I get paid to do this?
Oh, every day that I get to go out and just meet somebody new, go to someplace new. I've always said that's my favorite part of the industry, is I kind of feel like Indiana Jones a lot of days.
Yeah.
We in the industry, we get to go into so many cool places the general public would never be allowed to go into. We're constantly thinking like scientists, trying to figure out, hey, what the heck is this thing? How did it get in the building? How do I take care of it? It's an adventure.
I just had a really fun one this morning. I was at a local church, and they had squirrels getting up underneath their roof line, and I was like tied in. I anchored onto the roof, tied in, had like a ladder hook. It was so fun. I was like, this is what I love
That's
doing.
awesome.
I saw your pictures that you actually had fall protection on and everything.
Oh yeah, I was
Who does
totally
that?
anchored in.
Holy cow! Good job, man.
Yeah, that's right. No, I just did that for the picture. I took it off right now. Just kidding.
You have it just for photos, exactly. So if
No way,
OSHA's
man.
watching.
I'm so high up. There's no way I'm doing that without fall protection. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. No, I remember, probably first or second season and hanging over a roof peak to grab a bald-faced hornet nest, and tear it out from a peak because you can't get it in because you're straddling the peak of the house. And like nobody did fall protection. Are you kidding me? I was like 18 years old just scrambling up there like a squirrel. It was ridiculous.
Fall protection are your hands.
Grab something, kid.
I did a inspection on a very large, very old church last year, and I wanted to give them a full comprehensive inspection, and they have a bell tower that is very tall, and because it's a very old building, it is not OSHA compliant whatsoever, and you're going up all these very steep rusted ladders, and then it's a straight 40-foot ladder going right up to the to the bell tower that overlooks the entire city. I didn't have to go up there, but I wanted to go up there just to see the view, basically. And I told the guy that I just wanted to see if he had any squirrels or any bats or anything like that. Again, going back to the adventure and going places that you would never be able to go to otherwise. The view was amazing. It was a workout, but it was worth it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
So fun.
Yeah. I always say if you have a pest control truck, maybe a bee suit, clipboard, and a flashlight, you can pretty much go anywhere you want. You just walk briskly, just be like, pest control, and boom, you're in. You can go to the White House, doesn't matter.
A bee suit.
Yes.
Stand back.
Yes, you put a bee suit on there, nobody's stopping you.
That's right.
One of the most interesting things that I picked up on early, talking with people that had been in the industry for a long time, when I just newly started, was everybody always saying, we never intended to be in the pest industry. You think we grew up wanting to play with bugs? Yeah, sure. We play with worms when we were going fishing or whatever. But, essentially we just got in and we got bit by the bug. And I very quickly understood that. Yes, you know what? I got bit by the bug. My wife, even to this day, she constantly looks at me like, when are you going to get over this bug nonsense? I hate bugs. All you talk about is bugs. Bugs. Stop it already. Sorry, honey. I love it. I got bit.
That's awesome.
All right. Well, you got anything else? Should we wrap this bad boy up?
Get him.
Cool. Great. Well, thanks so much, Dan, for joining us, brother. Great to hear about your business and good to hear your insights on some of that stuff. And for all of our listeners, join that Coast to Coast Pest Talk group on LinkedIn because it's going down there. I think we are getting close to 100 members now, which we should do a party. We'll fly out Andy. We'll fly Andy out to Portland for 100.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
No, we won't. Maybe we'll do a Zoom podcast. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Okay.
It's been so great, guys. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. This means a lot to me. I've been following you guys both for a while, seeing you guys growing your success. So it's been a real honor to join you guys today.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Dan.